Good evening, councillors and member of the public. This planning committee starts, as ever, with the issue of apologies. We've got apologies from councillors Fuller and Glenn, who are both away. Councillor Humphreys was here for the earlier meeting and has either forgotten that he should have remained or has had to go, but he is not here and hasn't actually technically given his apologies either. But do we accept those that we have had?
Telling off.
Well, you were nearly off.
So do we accept those of councillors Fuller and Glenn?
Yes.
Right. Well, the next item is representation of interested parties, and in fact we do have a representation. We were potentially going to have two. Some councillors may have seen correspondence from Helmut Cartwright, who has been in touch with the council. He has... Can I say perhaps he just sounded like Helmut. Anyway, he sent an email earlier today to say that he couldn't in fact get back to me tonight, but we do have somebody who wants to speak in relation to the same issue. So, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Mr. Chairman, I'm being put on the spot by asking to say something first rather than hearing what you've got to say. I only knew about this meeting at 9 o'clock this morning or shortly after, so it's very kind of you to allow me to speak. What I would like to do, we all know Mr. Cartwright, I'm sure. I probably know him better than any of you. And his quite terse letter, I think you need always to sift out what is important out of it. And I would like to take several of those points out of that letter and offer them to you again, perhaps. First of all, regarding the 20-bedroom extension to Abbot House, I would like to say and ask you whether you realise that, I'm sure you probably did, that between 40 and 50% of the rooms in the present Abbot House are on offer to Northampton County Council. I verified that with Shaw Healthcare this morning by ringing up Kate Lane, I think her name is. So that if that extension goes ahead, there will be at least 20 rooms, and I gather from her that the proposal is, I mean, one can never guarantee that things which are proposed will take place, of course, but the proposal is that a proportion of the beds in the new extension will be offered to Northampton County Council. So I gather that you as a whole, you look such normal human people that I can't imagine why you've opposed the building of either of these two extensions to Abbot House, but I think it will be knocking on the local community, and in particular, if they offer places to Northampton County Council, knocking on the local community, that part of the community which can't afford private healthcare. So I think that's the first important item, and I really think that whatever else is considered, it's very important that that should be allowed to go ahead, and I would implore you to try and reverse your decision with the planning people and say, yes, we'll withdraw our opposition to that development. Coming to the two-bedroom flats, I think there is a big local need for this type of accommodation. We have one relative who, not very close to this area, but one relative whose life would be completely torn apart were she was able to get in that case, a two-bedroom flat, so that she could continue living a fairly normal life without having to rely on other people looking after her. And it would also have the means of keeping, in some cases, couples together when if one needs to go and needs accommodation like that, and it would be helpful for both of them to go into a two-bedroom flat together. And I think that by knocking that is again not doing something which is very good for the local community, and with an ageing population. population, this type of accommodation is really needed. So again, I think that's rather disappointing. Now, the grounds on which you apparently objected to the two-bedroom flat building, first of all, materials. I think we've had this conversation, Mr. Cartwright certainly has pointed it out before, that if you look at the Bourne, number 11 Dapsall Road, that house has been built of, has created a completely new precedent in that it is built of stone, whereas one precedent that could have been followed around here, the old nurses' home, red brick, Fredden House is red brick, the house the other side of the road is red brick, the library, and it used to be a police station as well before it was knocked down, all of red brick, and that really, the planning people in Stratford really ought to have said, sorry, but it ought to be red brick. And as it was built of stone, which doesn't even match Anglestone, the stone houses. It's more of a honey colour instead of being that sort of much lighter, slightly grey stone. So a precedent has been set whereby if you can build a place like that, of that sort of material which doesn't match the surroundings, you can build the extension here for the flats of Breezebrook, if you like, because there is now no precedent. However, I wouldn't want it to be built at Breezebrook and just left there, so don't worry about that. So I don't think that is really to say that it's built proposed to be built on the wrong material. Height, well, Fletton House is pretty tall. These days it would be a three-storey, if you take it to the apex, it would be a three-storey building easily. The chapel is tall up there, Sanderson House is tall, and I gather that your committee objected to the height without making any suggestion as to what could be done, even knocking a floor off or something like that, or lowering the roof, which might have had some influence. And lastly, although one could go on, overlooking the children's play area, is the children's play area on the road side of the library come children's business? I mean, I thought it was.
Just down here, just outside this window behind you.
I'm not sure where that is. Oh, it's on that side of the building.
Yeah, just see it.
It's not, the library is down here, so it's not the other side.
No, it's just down there.
Oh, okay. In that case,
You can see their playhouse down
yeah,
there.
right. I was under the.
The building proposed would be between, that's the existing Abbott house.
Yeah.
It would be on that car park, just the other side of that hedge where that light is.
Yeah.
That light in the
So it would
path.
look this way down.
It would look straight into that
I
playhouse.
thought it was down there. I can't see that would be a problem, but so really, having taken the main points out of Helmut Cartwright's letter, I would say that you ought to accept human beings, please reverse that decision and make it possible to, well, withdraw your objection.
Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
What we're going to do is deal with what I might call the formal parts of the agenda, so declarations of interest in the minutes. We're then going to move on to the item that this gentleman is interested in because he is here, and otherwise he has to sit through absolutely everything because it's the last item on the agenda, and then we'll go back to the planning applications and work our way through in the normal way. So, can I move on to declarations of interest? And this is to receive any declarations of interest from members and officers under Section 50 of the Local Government Act of 2000, our standing orders 35 and 36, requirement obviously applying only to matters that are before the Council this evening. Firstly, does anyone have any disclosable pecuniary interest to declare? And secondly, does anyone have any other interests to declare? That takes us on to the minutes of the meeting which was held here on the 6th of March. those present were myself, Councillor Sparks, Councillor Sue Oakes, Councillor David Fuller and Councillor Neville Oakes. So, of those,
I'm happy to,
certain number
I'll
of
propose them.
proposed by Councillor Neville Oakes, sort of looking rather frantic yet. Somebody else, Councillor Sue Oakes, good.
I see.
Proposed and seconded. All those who were present and in favour, please indicate, which is everybody who can. Just bear with me a second. Right, well that will bring us on the basis I just outlined to item 8402 in particular, which is to do with Abbott House. And you've heard a request that we reconsider the decision that was taken by this committee at the last meeting, which was in fact to object to the application. Councillors may recall there were two separate Abbott House applications before us. We objected to both of them in connection with what I'm going to call the larger of the two buildings, so not the one that we're specifically talking about at this point. We did raise issues regarding the height, the overall size of the proposed building, which we suggested was unsuitable for the location and out of keeping with any other structures in the town. We said that the building would have an adverse impact on a number of important buildings in the immediate location. We said that there would not be adequate parking on the site, which would result in potential parking issues elsewhere, traffic issues, and finally there would be the potential for overlooking referred to. Now, in relation to this specific property, we essentially concentrated on just the middle two bases of opposition, as it were. So the building having an adverse impact on other important buildings in the immediate location, and the absence of sufficient car parking. So those were the grounds on which we objected. Up until the last planning meeting, we had not, as far as I can recollect, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, ever essentially revisited a planning decision that we had made and sought to amend our response to ENC as the planning authority. At the last meeting, however, we were asked in connection with another issue to look again at a particular application, and following discussion we agreed that we could, and so we did, although in the end we did not in fact change the decision at all. So there is a precedent for us looking again at a matter, because we've just done it. I did make an observation, I think, at the time, that we may be opening to some extent the floodgates. I don't think I necessarily expected that we would find ourselves in precisely the same situation one meeting on, but nevertheless so we do. So there are two issues in a sense for us to consider. One, whether as a committee we would wish to revisit the decision, and then secondly, if we decide to revisit the decision, do we actually alter what we said in any way? And it seems to me that as that is a in effect a de novo decision. The fact that Councillor Chessel was not present on the last occasion did not prevent her from participating in the discussion this evening. You've seen the minutes, you're aware of the issues, you've heard the presentation this evening. So I think the first issue for the committee is to decide whether, in the circumstances as put to us, we might wish to reconsider. Now, I'll just make two observations on what I think I just heard. One was that it's a poor decision because what was being envisaged in the planning application is something that would be of benefit to the town. And I think the observation I would make in connection with that is that we could be in favour in principle of the provision of a particular facility, but we might not like the delivery. And since, as a planning committee, we are here to comment on a specific application, that's what we do. The second thing was that it was suggested that we could have made some observations in a sense about what might have made a difference to us. I think there may be some precedent for us having made certain kind of observations in the past. It's not something we would commonly do, but I think we probably have. We certainly didn't on this occasion suggest, for example, that if the applicant went away, revised their plans and came back with something different, we might take a different view. Because again, to some extent, we deal with the application that is in front of us, and if we don't like it, we would make that observation, and of course it's always open to the applicant to come back with a revised plan to meet any concerns that we've expressed, and there have been occasions when exactly that has happened, and I can recall in my capacity as chair of this committee meeting applicants before who've had a decision from this council of an objection, who've then met with us, talked it through, perhaps with a meeting on site, asked what perhaps might make a difference, and have then come back with a revised application. So of course it is still open to the applicant to do that if, and I stress if, the planning authority actually decides matters in the same way as we did. Because of course just because we have made an observation about our view on an application does not mean to say that E&C as the planning authority has to follow it. They could simply note what we've said and grant permission in any event, in which case the applicant will not need to worry about it. But there we are. So the first decision I suspect for us tonight is, do we reopen this matter and reconsider the application, either on the strength of anything we've heard or any changes of heart we've had in the intervening period, or do we stay with the decision that we made previously?
As I wasn't at the last meeting, can I just check, has any new information come our way?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, other than as
Yeah.
presented, i.e. a concern that the facility might provide some much needed
Yeah.
resources in the town that aren't currently available. But I think that was, in a sense, something that we were conscious of at the time.
Thank you.
We really did, we really had a thorough discussion about the additional facilities it would provide. But we also had, shall we say, a neighbour who was not very happy about it. And they made a representation. I'm happy to go, personally, I'm happy to go back and revisit it. That's a personal view.
Councillor Sparrows?
As a general thing, whether we agree with an application or we object to an application, we're not the planning authority. It then goes to East Northants, regardless of whatever we've decided here. They obviously look at whatever we've said. But does that have any bearing? I mean, I know there may be the case that it would be looked at by, instead of a planning officer, it would be looked at by the planning committee at ENC. That might be the consequence. If that's the only consequence, then there isn't a lot of point with any application, because I can see this being the floodgates to loads of these. Everybody, every time we either approve or disapprove, somebody will come along the next week and say, I wasn't here last week, I'd like you to redo that, or last month, I'd like you to redo it. So you might end up revisiting every planning application a number of times over. And what's to stop you, if you've revisited once, revisiting 2 or 3 times? The only effect it will have, I think, on East Northants might be the fact that when they come to look at it, it will be looked at by a committee rather than a planning officer. That might be the only consequence of our decision anyway. So in that sense, I wonder whether it has any effect whatsoever. They will make their decision based on planning criteria, and therefore, whichever way around it is, and I'm not being specific on this particular issue, but because I do understand some of the reasons that have been put forward, but I do feel that probably for us to revisit any decision, having made a decision, is not good.
I think my understanding is that if there's a written objection, they do take it to the committee. I think that's how it is. That's not just an officer.
Right. Yeah. Once we have made an objection,
Yeah.
my understanding is it can no longer be an officer delegated decision. It would go to the full planning committee, as Councillor Sparks has said. Do you have a view on whether we should or shouldn't reopen, either specifically on this case or sort of more generally?
Well, no new planning, anything that affects the planning, the building, the physical aspect of it has come. Nothing new's come, has it? So I don't see that there's a great deal of point in revisiting. But
Yeah, I was in 2 minds because I can fully appreciate what the gentleman's saying. But I do agree that once it goes to East Northants, that they will make their decision. And I don't think I see much point in revisiting it on that basis.
I think that my own view, in a sense, rather echoes that of Councillor Sparks. I am concerned that we could get ourselves horribly bogged down in simply revisiting decision after decision if, as a matter of routine, we started reopening the decisions that we've made, absent any fundamental new information.
That's right.
Clearly, if we had made a decision and it was obvious we had made it in error, there was something that we had overlooked or something we had misunderstood, that would be a different matter. We don't believe that that was the case here. I think we gave it a good look, and I'm not convinced that, as it were, we made our decision based on some fundamental misunderstanding of what was before us. So I'd have to say that I too would be concerned about revisiting the matter, and I do share the observation made by other councillors that that doesn't mean that the application may not yet be favourably looked on by ENC in any event. All it would mean in practical terms is that instead of an officer considering whether or not it would potentially be granted, and an officer might in circumstances have decided it should go to the committee in any event because of the nature of the application, but in practical terms it will end up before the committee, and the committee will ultimately have its own view.
Can I just check? I mean, we are only looking at this application, aren't we? So I presume that if it had to happen, a revised...
If a revised application comes before us, we will consider that in the same way as we consider any other application. I get the feel that whilst we may be sympathetic for the aspirational issue of further provision within Angle, we're not convinced that necessarily we should be reopening the application process and reconsidering what we've already looked at once before. So I think, with all due respect, we won't actually revisit that decision tonight, and we'll await the outcome of the NC with interest. And if it does come back in a revised form, of course, we will consider it, and we'll consider any submissions made by members of the public at that time. Councillor?
Well, there's also a fact that obviously the people who may support or be objecting to this application can put their submissions into the NC on their own, in their own right.
Indeed.
We're just, as you rightly say, we're not the deciding authority on this. We merely put a view in. I think my thoughts about revisiting it is that maybe on the day that we considered this, we didn't have the opportunity to listen to this gentleman because you just weren't there. So we looked at it as we saw it, and that's all you can do. And I think the biggest reason why we decided we weren't terribly happy with it was largely to do with vernacular. And it's vernacular, the streetscape, if you like. I mean, you've got Magdalen House, you've got, you know, and you're going, and there's then that was, we were looking at it in planning terms, really. But we did actually say at the time, and I'm quite certain this is right, that we said that this is a facility that is, you know, really needed. And one of the things we did say, he says, but okay, it's needed, but does it have to go there? Could it be built elsewhere? Is one of the the considerations that we made.
That was certainly said, yes. Councillor Sparks, you wanted to say something. I'm not going to extend this discussion much further, but
Councillor Oakes has just said, this gentleman wasn't at the first meeting, didn't have an opportunity to speak. Helmut Cartwright isn't at this meeting and hasn't had an opportunity to speak. By the same token, you could then bring it back again next month to this planning meeting.
True.
And just revisit for the second time. I can see that this can go on with, as a generic thing, with lots of planning applications where people will come along, for and against applications, and we could end up with them being tossed backwards and forwards for many, many months.
Absolutely, it's ping pong. It's ping pong planning.
I think that what perhaps we may learn from this exercise is this. We start a new council year next month, and it may be appropriate for there to be an item on the agenda for next month's planning meeting about the reconsideration of applications, because I think I will put forward some potential amendments which would be along the lines of that in principle we would not normally revisit unless new information has come to light that indicates that the previous decision may have been taken without full knowledge of the relevant facts or on the basis of a misunderstanding of those.
But we are governed by time limits, by time.
Well, there's also the issue of timing, as Councillor Chester says, and we can hardly go to ENC and say, would you give us an indefinite time extension, because we might want to reconsider this in 6 months' time, because they will just laugh and say no. Right, I think we better resume the agenda where we had got to, which therefore takes us on to the planning applications. Councillor Oakes, if you are following the list that I have in front of me, the first application is for listed building consent in relation to 1 St O's Lane. In fact, there seems to be 2 separate linked applications.
I've not exactly put them together because they are 2 different ones. As soon as you see the word Collie Weston roof slates and the removal of them, it sends a bit of a shiver down the spine, really. Because they really are an integral part of the architectural aspects of our wonderful town. Thank you very much. Now basically...
Did you say it again?
Right, this is where it is. Okay, that's the Coffee Tavern. That's the Chemist's, Newmark. And that is Country Breaks, which is just an entrance into the back cottages, and the blue area is 1 St Osyth's Lane. Now, it actually fascinated me that the others weren't given numbers in St Osyth's Lane, but they're apparently Marketplace. So there we go. I always like to put up with satellites. These don't appear on plans, but it's always quite useful to have a look at this. That is where the property is, and that's where the co-op is, and that's where the car park is. And basically, my dear wife has ascertained that you can't see this roof from anywhere from around the back. This is the facade of the building as it is now, and obviously we're talking about the thing, the bits at the back. The elevations are this. So what they're proposing to do is to restore this dormer window and put this new tiling up at the back to replace the Collie Weston, which is fading. That interested me, really. I think when you go to this is an example of Winchcombe roof sites. So, well, they are what they are. I think the decision is probably a reflection of the cost versus Collie Weston. Collie Weston's blooming expensive, and this is an awful lot cheaper. The replacement roof cannot be seen from the rear or from the car park, as I've already said. So sight lines don't come into it, although there might be an issue over the architectural heritage of the building.
Listed building.
Yeah, it's a listed building. Oh yeah, definitely. So I think all I can do now is say, and I'm coming on to the signs now, all I can say is I think this is another one where we bung it to Lloyd Mills.
Councillor Sparks wishes to speak, and then I'll say something. Councillor Sparks.
With it being a listed building, I've come across, I don't know what the general rule is, but I've had a situation where inside a building I actually couldn't varnish or paint beams in a building that was listed, grade 2 listed, but had to use a mixture of tar and soot because that was what was used when the thing was first created. I'm just wondering whether in fact you can change from one roofing material to another unless that roofing material is obsolete. In other words, can no longer be obtained, and I believe they are now mining Collie Weston slate.
Oh no, it's still available, it's just blooming expensive. That's all I'm saying. The only thing all I can do is represent as best as I can what they're proposing to do. And I've done some research into Winchcombe roof slates, but they can't be seen from pretty well anywhere. From a helicopter, possibly.
It's a listed building and it's thatched.
It is.
You can't then decide, I don't want it thatched anymore, I'll have tiles on it.
I accept that entirely.
So I think that is, to my mind, that is a parallel to that, if you like.
I'm happy to go along with that, Mayor.
Before we carry on the discussion, just in a sense, a couple of observations. We are fortunate in this town to have an extraordinary number of buildings that have Collie Weston slate roofs. It's part of the architectural heritage. I could have said vernacular, but I think we might be overdoing the word somehow this evening, of this town. It's also the case that we are aware of buildings where there has been a desire by the owners not to have to redo roofs in Collie Weston for the very good reason, as Councillor Oates has stated, this is an extraordinarily expensive building material. One other building with which we are probably all familiar is that owned by the Batemans.
Ron Bateman and his Welsh slate.
And he had a Collie Weston slate roof on his property in the centre of town, currently occupied on ground floor level by Salerno's and residentially by the Batemans above. and he was required to roof in Collie Weston to replace, even though that wasn't what he wanted to do originally.
But you didn't.
Maybe a slightly different tale, but the fact of the matter was that he was initially required to re-roof in the same material. There has also recently been the issue of the re-roofing of a building at the Riverside Maltings, which of itself is a listed building with the Collie Weston slate roof, and essentially the housing association, despite the cost to the elderly residents, had no choice but to re-roof in Collie Weston because it was not considered appropriate to re-roof it in any other material, although you could have re-roofed it perfectly adequately in another material. If we're talking parallel, other councillors will recall an issue involving solar panels on a roof in North Street, which was Collie Weston.
Very much so.
Where we got a retrospective application before the council, which we considered and objected to. But interestingly, not only did we object, but so did English Heritage. And one of the issues that English Heritage has since picked up on, and it's relevant to this, it seems to me, is that despite the fact that you couldn't really see the roof, it nevertheless altered, if you like, the structural integrity of the listed building.
Excuse me, not quite true. The two of the neighbours could see it.
Yes, I think perhaps neighbouring properties. I don't think you could see it from the street.
No, you wouldn't see it from the street. The two neighbours could see it.
Yes, I think Councillor Oates is right, I stand correct. But the gist of it was that although it couldn't basically be seen from the street, English Heritage objected because of the impact on the building as
Very
a whole.
much.
That was picked up on by ENC, who then refused the retrospective application that had been put forward. Councillor Sparks.
That side might not be seen from anywhere, but the other side of that roof, is that seen from anywhere?
Well, they're not going to change that. It's just the rear that's being altered.
It's just the rear that's being...
They're just going to change one side.
Yeah.
Just-
Collie Weston on one side.
It's
Yeah.
Collie Weston going up. I'll go back.
Yeah.
Just a sec. Sorry about
When
this.
we resume, Councillor Chester and Councillor Oates.
Just a minute. That's the frontage, okay?
You can't actually see that.
You can't even see that roof from the ground floor. You can probably see it from the neighbouring property, but they're not doing the front. It's the back that they said. That's specifically in the application.
Yeah,
It says Collie Weston roof slates to rear elevation.
yeah.
So in other words, it's the back of that.
You can't have a house with two different sorts of roof. I mean, that's nonsense. It's a total no-brainer. It's a listed building. It's in a conservation area. It's grade 2. It has to have Collie Weston.
Yes, I'm afraid that Mr. Bateman got away with it.
Having gone down as many little nooks and crannies as I could to see this roof, I did see other roofs, and I think there'll be other problems where they'll be wanting to replace the tiles.
Probably
So,
tough.
yeah, but then what we're saying is, if this is allowed to go through, everyone else will think, well, I can do my back.
Well, we've done the thin end.
My back roof, I can do that in the same as he's done it.
We've done the
Which
thin
would
end.
look a real mess.
We've done the thin end of the wedge debate loads of times, haven't we,
Yeah.
on these things? All I've tried to do is represent what the proposal is. I'm not actually putting an opinion. I think we ought to get the. Well, the thing is,
I'm trying to get the opinions.
I'm trying
Can
desperately.
I give you an opinion then?
After Councillor Oates has given his.
Well, look. My opinion is it's no big deal, personally, right? But I think we should probably object on the basis that they are removing a fundamental architectural feature that runs through our town. The only reason I would say I wouldn't have much of an objection is simply because it's not like one of the two of the other things we've seen. The choice of material, well, it's not. It doesn't sort of throw itself in your face. Look, I'm quite happy to object personally and say, no, we don't like this. It's Collie Weston, it's a fundamental, it's structural part of our lovely town, and we should say, no, we're not happy with this.
Okay.
That's what I just said.
Yep.
I said it was a no-brainer, it's a listed building in a conservation area, and it's the vernacular of the town, and we should keep, it should be
Councillor
told.
Sparks and Councillor Oates.
And again, my experience of listed buildings is that when you've got to replace these features, like for like, the listed building people have grants for this sort of thing.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't get a grant for that replacement stone, but you would get a grant towards the cost of Collie Weston.
Yeah.
I had to replace an upstairs bay window in the style of the Elizabethan era. It was a building built in during the Tudors, and it was it had to be built in that style, which made it drafty, but nevertheless we had to have the window in that same old-fashioned style. But we got a grant for it, for doing it.
Just very quickly, there is one house obviously on East Road, which I couldn't get access round the side of at all, which will be able to see that roof. Because it's...
But it doesn't matter who sees it, it's about the fact that it's in
Yeah,
a listed
yeah.
building and all
Yeah,
the
and I'm
rest
just
of it.
throwing that in when we
Yeah.
say, has anybody objected?
Right.
I'm not aware that anybody's objected.
And in terms of your view on the merits or otherwise of this application,
I
at the
would
moment you
object.
seem to have got 3 people saying that they object.
No, I would have, no, I'd object.
Object, that's
I'll say
4.
no.
Well, there's only 5 of us in this room, and I'm going to make it clear to you because I object. It seems to me that Councillor, I mean, in a sense, Councillor Chester puts it very succinctly. It is a no-brainer, and this is not, I think, a case of deferring
No.
to Lloyd, simply because I think we need to send a message, which is that these things are important to us and to this town, and that therefore we make a very positive statement that
Yeah.
we do not wish to see this done because we want Collie Weston slate roofs replaced with Collie Weston slate roofs, particularly on listed buildings that are in the conservation area, and I think it should be as clear as that.
Quite happy with that?
There is the second half of the application, which is to do with the
Yeah.
signage.
Yeah, I was coming up to that.
Separately, the signage issue,
Yeah.
having objected to the first bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with that, Chairman. I didn't particularly like it, but there we go. Anyway, that's the facade. Those are the elevations. This was basically the bit from the first application. So the idea was to repair that dormer window you can see and then just retile around it there. I'll put that up. I did a little bit of research on this. You don't get this on the planning website, I can tell you. Right, new external wall, sign. Now, if you look at that, you can see the front of the building. I'm not entirely sure that's an incredibly accurate representation of it, actually. But there is a wall sign to the left, which is the country brakes. And there's another sign on the right, which doesn't appear to have anything in it now. But let me just do this. We'll look at the sign placement. You've got a sign there, you've got a sign there, okay, which are ones that stick out, and the proposal is to put one there, which sticks out.
You've got the problem now of making holes in listed buildings.
Well, that's no doubt one of the reasons why they need consent.
Absolutely.
And it's LBC consent as well.
So there's 2 issues, are there not? One is, I suppose, is any signage going to be acceptable? And secondly, is the specific signage sort of acceptable in terms of its location, manner of fixing, and what it actually is?
There's all sorts of regulations, especially with listed buildings, on the size of the sign, the colour, the lettering style, fonts used and all sorts of things, because I've replaced signs, again, on this
Yeah.
Tudor building. I replaced a sign to reflect the name and nature of my business in there, and had to go through a lot of problems.
As a matter of interest, was the signage that you were then allowed to produce a projecting sign, or did it have to be flat to the wall?
We have projecting ones in
This
this.
this is a projecting one. It comes out.
It's making holes in a listed building.
That
Because
was an
that's
issue.
why I got them to come out when Cotton's new people changed their
What the North Shoes? Yeah.
yeah, they were busy drilling holes in the listed building. And the people came
Well,
out.
look, I tried to present these as neutrally as possible so we can have a decent debate about it. Basically, that's the proposal. It's to stick a sign where I've got the red thing and it will pop out a little bit. I don't think it's oversized. There's not enough information actually about this when I looked at it.
Funny enough, having just said that the previous matter was not one where we should defer
I think
to the
this one
conservation
is.
officer, I have to say that my instinct is to say that in
I
relation to
think
this
this definitely is.
we probably should,
Yeah.
because I'm quite happy to be guided by him. I think the issue of signage on listed buildings is complex for the reasons that Councillor Chesser has stated and others, quite apart from the aesthetics of the thing. So, unless other people take a
I mean, we might need to make the point that in Arundel there's a tradition of having the sticky out signs,
projecting signs.
the projecting signs.
So I think we might want to say that we would defer to the view of the conservation officer whilst making an observation that where possible signage within the conservation area should reflect
The style.
other kinds of signage or the style of signage as found within the town centre generally, words to that
Yeah.
basic
Don't want
effect,
another Blue Marlin.
that sort of thing.
Another blue margin.
Perhaps without the words of but we don't want to make it can be omitted from the action.
It's the meeting rooms, isn't it, for the coffee and
It is, yes.
For the
It's
Baptist
the Methodist.
It's Baptist. It's a Baptist.
Baptist, I mean.
Baptist.
What's getting on?
So they sort of drop in and have a coffee.
Religion
And
sounding like it. Right.
But it's a projecting sign. It's not. I mean, the good thing. Yeah, I know, but hang on a minute. The good thing is it's not proposed to be illuminated or anything like that, so we don't have to worry about that.
That would be easier.
We would have said no.
I know, but I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah.
move on.
I'm moving on. I'll move on as far as you like.
Which takes us, I hope, on to...
Right, well this is easy.
It's fine.
Right, okay, we've already looked at this. We've said no objection. You know, that's where it is. It's the bottom of our road, actually. Basically, there's a photograph of it. There's a proposal to do this, that and the other. Conservatory building. Basically, it's a resubmission of the application, but all they've really done is just done a bit of internal, you know, moving around. That's it.
We didn't object before. There doesn't seem to
Well,
be any basis for objecting.
Well, can I just say, I cannot understand any reason to object to it, personally.
I'm not objecting. It's the house which backs onto the
George.
land on the back of the George
Yes.
Club. So there's quite a lot of area and trees and things. So it wouldn't really impact on
There's
anything.
plenty of parking space. Like, they're not doing anything that's very, you know. The changes are cosmetic, let's put it like that.
I record that as no objection.
No objection,
yeah.
Move swiftly on.
Jolly good. Right,
Right.
moving on.
Back into the market.
This is going to be difficult then.
9.
What?
Remove some existing brand signage.
Well, I'm not going to even put this up. This is the NatWest Bank.
And
They're
then
going
there's another bit to remove existing brand
Right.
signage and ATM. And internal works to remove non-original fixtures.
I've not even got a-
etc.
I've not even got a picture up about this. It's basically the NatWest buildings. They're closing it down. They're just going to take the NatWest signs down. And what we need to do is just to make sure that they do that in an appropriate manner. I don't think there's anything else I can say. I couldn't get inside the building to go and run around and see what the non-original fixtures and fittings are. But basically, they're just going to rip NatWest off the top,
Good.
and they're going to remove the automated teller machine, which is.
brick it up nicely.
Which is a shame.
They need to brick it up
I
nicely.
don't know whether that is an error or whether...
Sorry, which one?
Well,
Right,
we've
no.
got the two applications, and Councillor Sparks was a bit confused, because both start with exactly the same bit.
Agreed.
Existing road,
I
and
didn't.
then the second one goes on and talks about internal works, and
Can I just say, I didn't understand that either when I looked at it. But basically, the only thing we really need to be concerned about probably is the removal of the signage
yes.
and the restoration of what was there before.
It seems to me that once again, we have a conservation officer, and just as we are concerned about signage being added to listed buildings, we should be concerned about the possible detrimental impact of removal and any remedial works that need to be done with it. But
Yep.
he's the expert, not us, so I would suggest that that's what we ask him to
Yeah,
look
fine.
at. I'm just making it clear that's the area of our concern.
B,
In which case, I'm sure my conservation officer.
I actually had a photograph of it, but I thought that would be a bit superfluous, because we all know where the NatWest is.
I think that probably is going a little far. In as much as if we
I
don't
know
actually understand that building, I'm not quite sure what we're doing situated.
And we're going to whiz past the next one.
Well, the next one is the gas line, and it's a tree, and it's simply a reduction.
You can just about see it says T1 and there's a red arrow, and it's in there. I tried to find it on satellite, but struggled with that. We normally don't bother about things like this. It's just reduced, it's not fell.
Well, if we stick to our normal policy, we wouldn't normally pass any comment on what appears to be tree husbandry. This appears to be tree husbandry.
Yeah.
Doubtless, if in fact the tree officer has concerns, they will be brought to the attention of the council, but I don't think we need to sort of make an objection to it.
Yes, they're not asking to fill it and build
Yes.
something else or anything.
No, they're not. They're just reducing the size of it.
So, shall I record no objection?
No
to that one?
objection.
Jolly good.
Good.
There we go.
Hopefully you have
Are we
got
going?
more, 'cause I certainly haven't
Right.
got one on this agenda.
Now, I just thought I'd bung this up, but this is the Lamorna thing.
Well, just before we get on to that one,
Sorry.
keep that up.
I will.
Just returning to the agenda, it's simply to note certain planning outcomes. One in relation to Bridge House Station Road. You may remember that there was an application for change of use. That has been granted. In relation to 42 New Road, conversion of a garage into a family room, etc. The outcome was that it was granted. And 32 Creed Road, as we heard earlier, was in fact withdrawn.
Yep.
Therefore, we do in fact hit the item now on the agenda in relation to Lamorna,
Right.
where an issue has arisen around enforcement of certain planning conditions with regard to the new hedging. It's to consider a request from a resident for Anfield Town Council to contact the ENC with a view to enforcing planning conditions. And there is a letter from Mr. Helmut Margaret in that connection.
Right, okay. Yeah, okay. Look, I've done my best on this. These are the original photographs of what Lamorna was. And you can see on the left-hand side, you have a path, and to the left of that is a yew hedge. Lamorna is on the right, and you can see, well, frankly, it's a really old, messy building, and it's obviously been completely transformed, whether you like it or not. Now, this is what it looks like now, as it is today. Now, the one thing I didn't understand from Helmut's letter is what he was actually wanting the replanting to do, because there is, in fact, the yew hedge. The reason they took the fence down, took the yew down on the left of that passage you went through, is so they could put a fence up. but it would appear that the U is now, oh no, sorry, missed it. It would appear that the U on the right-hand side is actually growing on the outside of the fence again. So although they've hacked it, would appear it's now regenerating itself. But I didn't know whether Helmut was referring to the front.
They replanted that hedge.
They replanted it. It's
They-
quite
Yeah.
multi-varied.
But I don't know where Helmut's coming from.
So a planning, they had to do it,
I
recall Deborah going after them
yes.
about
Okay.
A lot of it, there was a
Yeah.
lot of,
Yeah,
well, there was a lot of hoo-ha at the time.
yeah.
The thing is, though, I wasn't too sure what Helmut wants replanting, because there is a yew hedge at the front, there's a yew hedge around the side, so I'm not quite sure what you'd replant, because it's already there. I wanted to talk to Helmut. In actual fact, I rang the office here today to see whether they got Helmut's telephone number, so I could have a chat with him before I, you know, had a go. But I'm honestly, I'm at a loss on this.
I walked down that little passageway yesterday because I took those photos, and you're right, it is growing, but some of it hasn't, it's there, but it looks dead, whether it will regenerate itself. But certainly it will start to grow up, and it will, I guess you won't see the fence at some point. So there is greenery there.
Well, yeah, I think the issue, and I've been down there as well, the issue really is whether the yew is going to grow in the shadow of the house. That's the big problem. It's the sunlight.
It's whether it grow in that what is effectively more or less like a window box.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's just what it is.
That's what they put in as an afterthought, I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
if I remember
But-
correctly.
Yeah, I mean, they,
but-
they
It was a fence
shouldn't
there.
have taken it
But-
down.
No, it shouldn't have come down. And when
No, it shouldn't have come down.
I think that's what they then put, that sort of window box looking
I-
thing along there. They planted some in, some of which have taken, some of which haven't.
That's right.
Some there's
I would say
patchy.
half
Yeah,
of them have
that's
taken.
about right, yeah.
Helmut's contention is that they weren't adequately watered, or watered.
Well,
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's right. But the thing is, it wasn't clear from Helmut's missive as to what he was referring to. Was he referring to the front? Because that frontage, that yew thing, was nigh on as high as the eaves on the house, and then it got chopped down to that level. Or was he referring to the bit up the
Referring
lane?
to the one that Roy's talking about.
What was?
Down by
Side.
the one down the side.
Yeah, well,
Side.
well,
One option might be this. I mean, bearing in mind this is a planning application, there's no immediate time pressure. It would be possible for me to meet Mr. Cartwright and clarify exactly what it is he's unhappy about and what it is exactly he wants us to do about it. And then we could always put this back on the agenda for the next meeting, which he may or may not then be able to come, and he might be able to address us in person.
well,
I
look,
don't honestly think that leaving it another month is going to be critical.
I made my best efforts to get in touch with Helmut before I came here today, because I didn't understand. I know he's moaning about the, you know, he wants replanting, but it was not clear to me as to where it was and what it was going to be. I wasn't clear about it. That's all I'd say.
There you go, David.
I think I'm slightly uncertain as well, so shall we
Yeah, I think
take that
it's,
approach?
I think it's a lack of enforcement that's probably.
Yes, I mean, he's clearly concerned that conditions were put on which he does not feel has been complied with
Yes, I
adequately.
think that's right.
And I know that we took a pretty dim view of this
We
when
did.
it all happened, and we emphasised
We put an
again,
objection
that
in.
we wanted them
Yeah,
to do
well,
something
we-
effective about it, and they did then have these conditions.
Yeah.
And if it's the case that these conditions are not being properly complied with, then I would tend to agree with him that something should be done. But I think we need to be absolutely sure of our ground before we go there. So perhaps if we can put this on the agenda for next time, and I'll try and talk to Mr. Cartwright. Maybe that if I can't, Neville can.
I didn't. I'm more than happy to
You do
take.
it, David.
Okay, well, I will endeavour to speak
as
to
chairman
him
of the...
as chair, and we'll revisit this issue next month.
Okay.
Which would seem to mean that we have concluded all the items on the agenda except for any other relevant matters to report. So I'll start with Councillor Chester. Anything else?
Well, let me just say that the guys in the post office say that if they can sign up, they are going to be moving into the dispensary, the post office service, and that the bank will be providing some kind of roving consultancy where they come to the town every so often and have surgeries,
Right, that's interesting.
which is better than nothing at all.
Yes. Councillor Sparks.
Following on from that, I've got a meeting with this community bank
So yes,
next week at the library, so I shall know a bit more to report to future meetings on where that's going on that particular item. Just a point where we've talked about East Northants agreeing or not agreeing with our decisions. Those outcomes that you read out, Councillor Chappell, the first one, we in fact objected to that, didn't we, on the grounds that that change of use
We certainly did
down
raise some
Yeah.
concerns
down
about
at
it.
the wharf.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has to be said that I think every time we've said anything in relation to the wharf area, what we have said has tended to be overruled.
Yes, we
We
had the same
have
thing with
just-
signage there, didn't we?
I think actually, if I recall correctly, I think the issues there was that we didn't object.
We asked for
because I
more
think,
information on
I
that.
think we basically
Mm.
didn't feel we got enough information.
Mm.
Because of the way we expressed ourselves, they went ahead and decided it, but what we wanted them to do was in
because
essence
they'd
defer it.
been to another
So what we should have done
property
is
elsewhere.
actually object and then sort it out afterwards. So I think we all learned a lesson from that.
So I think they will act, EMC will make their decisions based on planning decisions, and we learn from,
I like to think that we make our decisions based on proper planning decisions
Yes.
as well. But arguably they have the benefit of qualified staff who are making sure they get it right.
yes.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Councillor Oakes,
No,
any other matters?
no.
No, seemingly not. Just one other thing, we've already said that on the agenda for next time we'll put something on about reviewing planning decisions. I've also finally got round to drafting something about retrospective planning applications. But it's too late to get it on the agenda. I have provided it to Lisa, and it will be on the agenda next time, but the wording will be circulated so we can have a think about it in advance. And we can decide whether we like it, we don't like it, but we might like it if we change it or whatever. But at least it will be done. So, unless there is anything else, I'm going to declare the meeting closed at 9:30. Just too bad.
That's it.
Right.